Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and welcome to another episode of Stat Pack for Anfield Index. Ladies and gents, we're doing three things that people in England aren't doing. We're talking about beating the champions of Europe. We're talking about beating the champions of our own country. And to do it, we've actually got the hardest job in England. We've got an appointment with a doctor as well. So I've got Bart's with me as ever to talk through the stats around that majestic City game and to look ahead to Newcastle at the same time. But it's a Tuesday night. It's obviously a later where you are, but this is just a great time to be a Liverpool fan, isn't there? There's nothing to be negative about at the moment.
No, even whatever anyone who can try and find any negativity in their fair play to you. I think injuries we could do with a fullback back here and there, should we say? But other than that, you go and watch the game of football. Football's about escapism, isn't it? It's about giving you a reality that you don't currently have in your life, and that's a bit deep. That apologies, guys, but that's what football's about. And at the moment, the Reds are giving you that in buckets. It's a really good time to go and watch the Reds play.
Yeah, absolutely. I was at both those games, Real Madrid and City, and we maybe were being deep, but it was a privilege to be at those. It's just everything about the Reds is absolutely brilliant at the moment. But on Stat Pack, ladies and gents, we're here to give you the data, we're here to give you the stats and see what we can call out from this game. I mean, I'm not going to say this lightly, Bart, and I'm really intrigued to see what you pull up for us here because I was at that game and the eye test, I mean, 2-0 flattered them. I thought we absolutely battered them, and it'll be interesting to see what the stats say. But for better finishing, it could have been an absolute hiding. At the same time as well, we almost saw stages in this game. There were stages where it was all us and we were on top. The eye test also looked like we were almost trying to contain them at times and just show we can do that, almost shut down their threat. It really felt like, I don't know, different types of slot teams in one game. So I am genuinely fascinated to see what the stats are going to tell us from first half, second half, and overall there.
Yeah, I mean, overall, we covered those on UP last night, and you would have seen them. And it's Tuesday. If you've not seen the stats by now, you need to go and get better at. So I'm being honest with you. But the interesting bit is the by half stuff because you're right. First half, we were field tilt, which measures how much a percentage of the game we spend in their opposition half versus they spend in our final third. So 55 to 45 in that first half period. If we look at penalty box touches, we had 17 to their 5 in that first 45, which is a huge difference. Huge difference. Possession-wise, again, we're at 52-49, so fairly even, to be honest with you. You're chasing hairs there if it's a couple of percentage out. XG, 1.7 to 0.13. Yes, that's 0.13. So that's a huge difference for that first half, which is also backed up with your big chances, which for Opta have to be over 0.2 or 0.25. So, yeah, it's that's a big difference for us, and the good thing for us as well. So XGO2, which is XG on target, which is effectively a measure of in that high score chance. So if you've got a 0.4 chance, that suggests that you've got a 40% chance of scoring from that position.
Yeah.
Now, the post shot will look at where you place that ball in relation to the goalkeeper height, depth, width, whatever you want to call it. And that'll give you a measure on how much you've added or taken away from that. And then from a goalkeeping perspective, how much, if they saved that, how good that save was. So, Kelleher is overperforming this metric compared to other goalkeepers throughout his Liverpool career, and Alisson does as well. But we're basically a 1-to-1 there. So the quality of chance, within giving it the same quality in terms of the attempted finish. So just a little bit there for people who may not know that. And one of the key things that I bang on about, people get bored of me probably, but that threat to XG conversion, we were nearly at 100. They were at just over 20. So that first half really was a completely, full-on, intense, everything you would have. I think it's unfair to say it was like a Klopp side because I don't think it was. I think it was more organised in areas, which I'll come on to in a minute. But it was definitely slot football at its best. Flip that, though. Second half, we let them have the ball where they had 60% possession. Field tilt, they were in our final third for 65% of the time. So penalty box touches, which I said we were dominated first half, they flipped it around there, 25 to our 13. But big chances, we still, in the key stuff, 3-1. So we still had better, but we were playing more on the counter. So our threat to XG conversion actually in second half was better. It was 220 to 21% conversion rate. They got their threat up to about 70%. So they improved, but we sort of let them have this areas around here and let them do certain bits, but not. Bit of a stat, I'm going to say it again, I repeat it from last night because I just found it hilarious. We were more likely to win the game 6-0 than City were to win it. 10,000 sims. So yeah, brilliant. Anyway, one for you to go and have a bit of friends with your City friends, City mates with. But if we take a look at some of the passing stuff we have, so typically for a slot side, I hope that comes up large enough for people, we dominate these half space and zone 14 areas with our blue successful passes, red's progressive. Okay, that's generally what we do. Now here, you might be thinking, going, what are you showing me there? Because there's not a lot of arrows. That's exactly the point. We didn't utilize those areas to a large degree in this game. So that was a different tactic for that. And if you look at second half, even less than the first half, again, change of tactics. City, I just click the barrel. Yeah, they typically get in these areas. Yeah, so here, particularly between 31 and 45, which is when they had their first shot. City record that, the longest time in a game that they have not had a shot by, I think 39 minutes it was. They finally had their first shot in the game. So quite an incredible start that. But they still got in those areas, but key, they didn't make a pass into our box from those areas. Yeah, one pass here just after half time. Otherwise, we did our usual thing of putting a cordon around the penalty box and saying, you ain't coming in. You can have the ball in these areas. We'll let you do that, but you're not coming in here. And largely that's due to Van Dijk and Gomez rolling back the years to being the phenomenal partnership they were years gone by. And the two fullbacks again playing really, really well. Trent, I thought, was exceptional for 60 minutes, started to tire a little bit after that. But now that change of tactic, which a lot of people have alluded to, hopefully that's come up large enough. If not, I'll just make that bigger for people. So here you'll see is, again, same sort of combination, blues successful, red's progressive. These are our long passes, right? So this is just long passes. That's first half, that's second half. So first half, we were literally working out a way, keeping the ball and then putting it into these areas here. The Mo goal is this one here, the red one here. So that, and then he pulls it across there. So that is that, not the Mo goal, sorry, the Cody goal, the Mo ball for the Cody goal. Yeah. That tactic there was to get it into the spaces here, in behind where the fullbacks were, if they were playing a 3, in behind, and then we could play the balls in, which is different to our tactic usually, which is build through the wingers, come back in, and then feed it in centrally. So we changed tactics. Second half, again, we sat off a bit as we've become accustomed to, and our long roll rate dropped, but still using the left half space a little bit more. So there are some key things there to be aware of that we did well in that kind of that first half difference, I would suggest, for the tactics. But that's all on ball stuff, right? And with City, you have to do both sides of the ball well to get something out of it. And the key thing I look at here is defensive actions, which is anything from tackle, header, ground duel, all of those kind of up to definitions, should we say, interceptions, those kind of things will come into that play. So if we're looking at this first half, second half split, this is the first half defensive action heat map. So attack is right to left. So City are attacking this way. Okay, so from here to here. You will see here, we targeted the half spaces here. Yeah. So we were targeting to win the ball and then go at them quickly. Yeah. So that is a tactical change that we have not seen that intense level in the half spaces, particularly for a period of time. We genuinely don't do that. We target out here, we target wider, and force the ball inwards. But to see this targeted approach in a narrow way which is definitely set up to deal with City's double pivot, and then they try to play the two in front. So very, very different approach. And then second half, again, to back up what we typically have done, we go ahead and then we see where we are. We backed off. So the right back zone here with Trent is going to see more action because they swapped the wing around. They brought Joku on, and then they brought the Brazilian lad on to play the right wing against Robin. So your two fullback areas increased in their volume, but look in their half, we just went, go on in, you had the ball. You had the ball and you do that. So some very distinctive differences in the way that we kind of played them and changed in the halves. Just having a quick check on EPV to make sure there's anything different there. But yeah, so EPV first half, this is Mo's area and Cody down here doing some good stuff. But second half, we were playing on the counter, so it was limited, but you had some different shapes. And if we look at our positional setup, you don't really get a great picture from here. But the overall one I wanted to show people was how did we do that? So we created a box in the middle here. So Diaz drops in next to Dom, and then you have Grav and Mac backing up. Double pivot with a box in front of our two centre halves. Again, controlling that central area. Pep's sides historically want to control the centre. So what we did is we're going to have high actions in those areas. We're going to defensively be intense in those areas so you can't get out. And we're also going to have bodies around you. And then what we're going to do is we're going to play it to Mo, who's going to play in Cody, and vice versa. So we did a very strategic way of winning the ball here, building through there, and then going out wide rather than the reverse. It was very successful, and effectively, I mean, you were there. We could have blown them away in the first 20 minutes. Could have been 3-4 up, 3-4 easy.
That is, the contrast there, just like I say, in terms of the big touches, the pure aggressiveness in the middle of the pitch in the first half, compared to, like you said, as the stats show there, just the second half to almost be like, go on then, see if you can do anything. And they just simply couldn't. We were still just, I like the way you phrase that, almost a cordon around the penalty box, like you're not coming in. Simple as that. Yeah. You're not getting big chances. Simple as that.
I mean, it helps when you've got, I don't even think there's a doubt, he's the Premier League's best centre-half playing for you, and he's rolled back the years to when he became second in the Ballon d'Or vote. So it does help. But Gomez stepped up. Gomez was there showing that he's still a quality Rolls Royce of a defender. He's just been unfortunate with injuries over the years, but it does help when you've got that. And then you've got Grav and Mac in front doing what they usually do. Matt was a kind of a metronome kind of game for him. Wasn't really looking to, where Real Madrid was looking to make that third man run, was looking to join the attack. Matt was very much deeper this game, just being there, controlling over, making sure we moved the ball in the space we wanted to play. And another great performance for him, really.
Insane. And I mean, there is, when we talk about individuals, that literally you could call out 1 to 11, even subs having an impact as well. So I am intrigued in terms of the data. Who does the data lead towards sort of man of the match and even call outs possibly?
I mean, it's going to be very hard to make a case not to be Mo Salah, right? Mm-hmm. So if we accept that, Mo Salah pulling in 23% of our EPV production is phenomenal, with he's on the pitch for 87 minutes. His touches, if I can just find that, I'll be on another one down the bottom. But his total touches Mo had was 29 touches, and he created 30%, nearly 24% of our EPV.
Wow.
That's pretty special performance right there, right? His receiving success was in the 90s. His passing success was in the 70s. Now, considering he takes risks with that, that's pretty good going, to be honest with you. Where are we looking at? So if we look at his connections Mo had, is he coming up with anything? No, he's not coming up there. But defensively as well, Mo, I think, did a pretty good job. Yeah, 100%. Aerials, 100% duels, so low volume, but still putting in both sides of the ball. Mo's working well. Mo also helped double bank some of their players, so there'd be our player in behind, and Mo would nick it in front, and then we'd go again. You saw it happen on a couple of occasions. Bernardo definitely didn't like it on one occasion. So it's hard pressed. But the other player I would put forward is another midfielder. Because again, Virgil for me is, I know we overlook him, but Virgil was just sublime, right?
Yeah.
He's up there, right? How you cannot give that guy a 10 out of 10 that game is beyond me. He's absolutely beyond brilliant. But Dominic, so he's had a lot of hate early on the season, but if you look at him, he had a dual rate of 50% in midfield, which is in line with his competitors. Area was 100%. Okay. Touches, we said last week about touches in the penalty box. He had 2, but he had 24 in the final third. That's good. He's doing the up and down supporting. I've already showed you where he's operating with Diaz to cover in on the right side this time rather than the left. If we look at his attacking metrics, he produced 10% of our APB, which is getting decent considering he doesn't take any set plays. He had 12% of our possession time, so again, pretty good conversion. Now, as always, I'll offer the alternative. I'm not saying I would have given it to Mo Salah. I mean, that's his way of will. He exceeds. Remember, the dot is what his positional average is for the game. He exceeds the threat created. He exceeds the shots. He exceeds the areas won. It's just that's kind of a very, very good performance. But my offer up is Dom. Again, exceeds all of the improved positional average. So against the midfielders in the game, he exceeded all bar the ground duels, which he was 50-54. So, yeah, that's why I would say if you're looking at another alternative, Dom was good. VVD was clearly class. So between those three, which is a player in each unit, effectively having an exceptional game, I think goes a long way to explain how we got the result we did. Just a really, really, really solid performance from most of our guys, to be fair. Even Robbo found some from somewhere, some old school form, really. So, yeah, it was good. It was good to see.
It is crazy that, like you said, so many performed. And it is good to see Szoboszlai getting the credit and those stats backing it up, because he has come in for a bit of flack recently. You can't pretend that. And some people questioning kind of his role in the side. I suppose for me, Barts, and tell me if you think wrong, when I'm thinking the biggest takeaways from everything you just told me, to have more than 3 times the touches in the penalty area at the first half, to dominate that middle area, which City like to, and there's no 2 ways of switching that up. We dominated that middle area. And then even the switch in the second half, just where we'll say, you can have the ball, but Gandalf style, you shall not pass type of thing. We just dominated them first and second half, exactly the same, but in a different style, didn't we?
Yeah, 100%. And I suppose the other way I think we made City the ordinary. Okay, and that takes some doing. And another way you can look at that is we talk a lot about on Under Pressure about a Swiss Army knife approach to attack. So when the way you win titles is that you can defend in multiple ways and you can attack in multiple ways. So whatever that opposition throws at you, you can deal with it. Okay. Some of the weaknesses of Arsenal setup is that last season they were relying on set plays to score goals. So their Swiss Army knife is limited. City have never had that problem. Okay. Now, one of the ways you can look at that is how you produce XG. Okay. So yes, they produce not a lot of XG. It's really pleasing to see that we basically allowed them XG outside the box, right? They had one little density plot there where they produce XG in our box. This is the English champions, by the way. This isn't like Brentford. No, it's Brentford, but it's not like Saints or something. This is the English champions, and we've not allowed them to create an XG in our box bar a little bit. Now, the other thing, this is the variance of how you create XG. City just created it by regular play. That's unheard of. Like, you would normally have a set play, a corner, a fast break. These are the categories we created from. Obviously, penalties in there, but we had regular play from a corner and fast break. Yeah. So you'd also have some of our free kicks could have been better, which would have had another one. But generally, we have 4 or 5 varieties of creating XG. City on this game, we limited them just regular play. That is a really big takeaway from us. Our ability to stop the opposition, actually flip it around another way, is just to let them create in one way, and we can control that. So us as a system, we are operating in that elite level that we're saying, you can do that. We know where you're going to create threat. We know where you're going to get XG, and we'll just deal with that. We won't let you do anything else. And to do that to City, I thought was quite remarkable.
Yeah. I think the bit you phrased it absolutely spot on. We made the English champions look ordinary and we restricted them to one route. There's just so many things to like about this City game. And listen, people, we could talk about it all night, but at some point, you probably may have noticed the games come thick and fast, don't they? In all honesty, we now face Newcastle, an interesting team. And because I'm working towards my doctorate for the stats and I'm obviously nowhere near, I'll do you a few barts to save you a little bit. So, I mean, you look at these people, they're an interesting team because they are literally mid-table, as you'd say. They're literally there, 11th, 19 points, although it is really close, right up to 7th. They're only 3 points behind 6th. You could look at it that way. But a real mix. I mean, 5 wins, 4 losses. So this is what intrigues me, Barts, as well. 14 goals for, 14 goals conceded. They're the ultimate. It's pretty even across the board. They almost scream like a 1-1 drawing team there, in all honesty. Goals, not too many. Maybe the annoyance is that Isaac's back. No one really wanted to hear that as well, but he is their top scorer. Anthony Gordon, we all know the drama that played out in the summer. You fancy he will be up for it, but so there's a few goals there, but you start going up, and why they've got Harvey Barnes here, but a lot of his goals were early in the season. They aren't a team of big scorers by any means. And the form one is interesting. If you come across to their form, they've beaten Arsenal and they drew against City at home, people. Let's not ignore that. So there is a threat. But then you look at the last few. I mean, they lost to a horrendous West Ham team. Let's not pretend West Ham are not horrendous at the moment. And then the last game, I don't know if anyone watched it at all, but it was pretty abject, that 1-1 draw against Crystal Palace. So, I mean, I'll put yours back on the screen, Bart, but it's a tough game in one way because you look at what Newcastle can do at home, but I'm intrigued to see what your stats pull up from these.
So I'm using anyone who follows Mark R on the Twitter arty. He's got an actual website, you can look at it. But so just to back up a little bit what you're saying there in terms of they are a bit of a balance, if you know what I mean. So if we look at XG difference, it's 0.15. So that is literally, they concede as much XG as they create by a 10% chance going their way effectively. And if you look at where we compare that to Liverpool, our XG difference is +1. Yeah. So that's a big difference. Now you might think, okay, so what's going wrong in their system? We talk about threat to XG conversion. So what's their threat XT difference? Again, 10%. Ours is 0.7. So again, there's a big difference in terms of they're only creating 1.48 threat a game. We're calculating 1.7. We're conceding just over 1. They're conceding 1.3. Now, given our ability to convert a threat into XG, you saw in the City game it was about 90% one half and 200 or something another half. You don't need to give us much, and we can turn that into the XG we need to score. In terms of some other stats that you can look at, they have 12 shots a game. They concede 3.5 shots a game on target. Sorry, they genuinely. I would suggest it's about 1.4 XG per 90 on F-Brief and on here as well. So I think they're, anything around that 1.5 XG conceded and created, they're doing that mark. Whereas remember, City coming into the game, they were conceding over 2 XG per game. And then they conceded 3 for us. So I think they're not poor defensively, but they're not, they're a bit of they are effective. They're literally mid-table. If you want your definition of mid-table, that's what they are this year. They're very, very mid-table. The only worry, not a worry, because it's us and we're elite at the moment, but Isaac's underperforming his XG. So if you look at his stats on F-Brief, here he is. He is underperforming his XG by about 10%. So yeah, there's something to look. I mean, is he injured? Is he not? I'm not sure. But I think he scored 4. He should have scored 5. So something to think about with that. But no, I think generally they can see a decent amount of shots. They also score quite a lot of shots. They can be very Jekyll and Hyde. They would have had some record, by the way, if they'd won at Palace, because they would have won the game without actually a shot.
Wow.
Because it was an own goal.
Yeah.
But other than that, they had no other. Do you know what I mean? They would have scored by not having a shot on target. So they would have won the game. So Palace creating the equaliser was probably pretty fortuitous in terms of where we are. But no, for me, I would say it's going to be, as all of these games are going to be. I think it's going to be about that battle in the middle. Newcastle's problems I was talking to Hamza last night, was the midfield combinations between Tonioli and Bruno. They're working that out. Bruno was playing further forward in the last game, and Tonioli was holding, and it sort of started to hold. But they're still not, as the threat would tell you in the XG, they're not creating those numbers that they need to do. It'll be interesting to see how they line up, how they try and counter us, and what we can do. But they are a very, very balanced, just in the middle. They don't crack loads of XG. They don't concede loads of XG, but yeah.
Interesting. Liverpool 12th man there, talking about we're nearly twice the average seen from other teams. I think Bart's phrased it right. We are elite. Before I go to the final bit, I want to talk about with final trends. We did have a question as well. I'll put it on the screen there from Liverpool 12th man, asking about, because we asked about corners and how it can dictate offensive pressure. So again, how many corners do we expect against the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde team? Because it's interesting you called that out. We do set pieces, eh?
Yeah, it's corners is one I don't really spend a lot of time looking at, to be honest with you. But it'd be interesting. I'm just going to look in the last game. When did they last play? And I'll give you what they were playing Palace, weren't they? Here we go. So Palace
didn't actually get a shot on target. I think the
XG looking at it, something like 0.1. They had 9. They conceded 8 and won 9 corners in that game. So that's. Yeah, let's look at the previous game to that. I'm interested that you raised that question. So corners again, they created 8, conceded 3. So they're not double figures. Looking across those last 3 games. So it'd be interesting to see. But I would suggest we just use a different modality to create our XG. We don't have to go and counter on their corner. Our corner routines are pretty good recently. We just need Virgil to remember he's not Matip and actually head the ball properly.
Yeah, he will be gutted he didn't get one on Sunday. No 2 ways about it. Which, I suppose the final point, I am intrigued by this. The champions of Europe and the champions of England have been to Anfield this week. And it's fair to say we are easily deserved victors in both those. There's been so much to like recently. What are the kind of, I suppose you call it, wider trends from the last few games? Is there any themes or patterns you'd say that you and the Up Boys have been calling out at all?
I'll go back to the start of the season. Darth, I think all of us came on board after the first couple of times. Game state. Our ability to control what happens in each game state and react is why we're top of the league. Even against City and Real, we did similar things in when we're game state. When we were leading 1-0, we only conceded 0.29 XG. We created 2.2 XG against the English champions, right? When the game was drawn, we didn't concede any XG and created 1.2. And in terms of threat, we created nearly 100 and nearly up full 1.0 threat to I think 0.05. And again, when we went to a home lead, we let them create a little bit more threat. And then the key thing is this ability to step off, conserve energy. So garbage time is when you're over 2 ahead. So that's when City finally created a decent amount of XG, but even then only went to 0.5 and threat was 0.28. So it's those for me, it's those key game states are not changing. And that is a trend now for the whole length of the season across Champions League and Premier League.
Yeah.
That is what gives me confidence that this team are legit. They are elite, defensively as well. Attacks can go, hot and cold a little bit. But in terms of our defensive numbers, we are simply not letting the opposition do things they want to do. We're controlling it in the game state we want to control. And then we'll go and win the game when we want to go and win it.
It's just crazy to say, isn't it? The way we can just take our foot off the gas when we want to, put it back on when we want to. We are, as the word I got from this, we are controlling teams. We are controlling games at the moment, aren't we?
Yeah, we are doing very well. Is Joe Gomez going to score a goal? I think 12 fans asking, and I would suggest there's no team. His best chance, honestly, was what was the game he came on and he had a free header from 6 yards out?
Oh, the Brighton one where we missed for like 1 second. Yeah, we thought,
that's his first chance, and he doesn't do it. But I think Joe's going to end up being Rob Jones of the centre half world. I generally think he's not. I don't think he's going to score. So there you go. He's a good player, but I just don't think he's going to score.
Well, as long as he can keep playing the way he's at centre half, and like you mentioned at the start of the show, as long as all these defenders stay fit, we are in an unbelievable place right now. We really are. So we'll see what happens, ladies and gents. The next time me and Bart's reconvene, Christ, the games will have Newcastle to review. Probably just a small matter of a Merseyside derby as well, all before probably Girona and everything. These games just come thick and fast, people. But all it leaves me to say as ever is, Bart, for the time, the stats and the inside, it's much appreciated, mate.
No worries, anytime.
And ladies and gents, that was another stat pack for Anfield Index.